I've always been passionate about leadership. I think it's something that has come natural for me. I started teaching at 23, and I was a varsity head football coach a year later, so I was very young, leading a program. And again, I think that the leaders that I had in my life that were influential, the first principal that I worked for at Piner, actually in her office when I was a rookie, she told me, "You're going to be an administrator one day." And I laughed and I said, "No, Janet, I want to teach and coach for 30 years and retire happy." And so I had taught for 10 years, and I'd done some different things. I worked also part-time as an instructor at the JC. I moved on from coaching varsity football to coaching at Santa Rosa Junior College. I did a master's degree in 2012 in kinesiology, thinking that I wanted to move on and be a tenured full-time instructor at the community college and maybe take over my own program one day. But I realized that I can only affect change in so many ways as a football coach, okay? As an administrator at a high school, I'm a teacher and a coach in a different role. That's my philosophy. I've told that to Mrs. Connor and the other teachers. And I believe that in this role, I can take input from our strong staff and I can help to affect change and make outstanding experiences for students across the board, not just those who play football. So I felt like I could make a bigger difference in this role as an administrator, and fortunately had this amazing opportunity to come and lead our awesome high school. I've enjoyed all of my experiences from, stepping on to Piner as a 23-year-old teacher. That was interesting. Going through that growth, I learned a lot in those first few years. I didn't make the choice to go to Ridgeway. I was a tenured teacher, but the enrollment shrunk at Piner. I was the youngest teacher at Piner. Initially, I wasn't happy about it. Obviously, I was also the head football coach and wanted to be there with my team. But when you're tenured in a district, you're tenured in a district, not at a school. So the district moves you where they want you to go. And I was pretty apprehensive about it, but once I stepped on that campus and got to know that staff and realized the impact I could make on those kids' lives, being that I came from a similar environment as many of those students, I really embraced it. So that I grew a lot in that role. I taught there for 7 years. I didn't want to be an off-campus varsity head football coach, so I decided to move on, and that's when I started working at the JC. The JC was an amazing experience, but I realized that wasn't the route that I felt I wanted to go for the long haul, or at least, at the time, I thought administration was going to be a way for me to, I spoke to this earlier, to affect change in many kids' lives. So when I made the decision to go into administration, I wasn't sure what my future was going to hold. Initially, I thought I would stay in Santa Rosa City Schools and be a vice principal at one of their high schools. In my cohort, my administrative cohort, you meet a lot of people and you put yourself in position to network, and I felt that it was a good opportunity for me to learn and grow by stepping outside of Santa Rosa City School District and experience something else, which is the reason I chose Roseland Collegiate Prep, which is the new charter school that they were establishing on the Ursuline campus behind Cardinal Newman. Unfortunately, that school burned down and they're in a temporary building right now. But being able to help them build a high school, that was one of the reasons that I went there. And I think that it helped me grow a little bit working with middle school students. You have to be more patient. So I see every step of my career has been an opportunity for my own personal growth. And so through that administrative program, I also earned a second master's degree in educational leadership. So got a well-rounded educational background that I think has helped me grow as a leader too. So I think every experience it's growth is what it is. It made me want to be, when I do have kids, to be the dad that I never had, right? No kids at this time yet, but that's something that is in my future. And I think it was difficult. I'm not going to lie, it was difficult. And I think it has helped me to provide support to some of my students that come from split families too, and to share some of my experiences and maybe some of the adversity that I went through. But I also developed relationships with coaches in my life that, especially my position coach from Santa Rosa Junior College, Ron Price. He passed about 5, 6 years back, but he was almost a father figure to me, and we stayed in close contact through college, and he helped me to pay for my credential classes coming out of college, because I actually took my little brother, and I have different dads, and he came to live with me when I graduated from college. So I was 23 years old, working towards my credential, teaching and raising a 17-year-old at the same time. And so I had to balance being his brother, but being a father figure, a role model for him. But again, I think it just shaped my character, and it helped me to grow in my own ways, right? Make your own choices. And you know, adversity is not easy. Don't think that you're in this thing alone. Honestly, that was one of the things I loved about working at Ridgeway, was because there was a lot of the kids there, you know, were behind in credits. It wasn't their fault. Maybe they couldn't get to school. Maybe they had a divorce that they went through. Maybe they had an abusive environment. So just sharing my stories, I think, help kids know that they're not alone. I think that, you know, ask for help, talk to people, know that you can make your own path. The choices that you make give you options. So, and learn from those mistakes. If you see people making bad choices around you, there's another way. You don't have to fall into that same pattern, okay? And that's the truth. Because if I'd have gone down the same path as maybe my father or my mother, I wouldn't be in this seat today. And a lot of people wouldn't think about that I grew up that way. I mean, I've heard people make assumptions that I maybe came from an affluent background. Maybe that's the way I carry myself, or the position that I'm in at my age. But it doesn't matter what type of environment you come from. It's about how hard you work. It's about your desires, your goals. It's about making the right choices. And I think more than anything at your age, your social circle is extremely influential in your life. You're also exposed to social media, which I didn't have to deal with growing up. That can affect the decisions that you make. So just know that the people you're surrounding yourself with, the environment that you spend most of your time in, that tends to be the environment and the path that you go. So just know that if you've got that adversity in your life, you can make your own destiny. You can make your own choices.
I'm Leo Lara.
I'm Wesley Clark.
I'm Leo Acevedo.
I'm Cole Timmer.
And I'm Evan Garris.